Welcome back to Katana TCG. In this week's early deck preview, we're going to be taking a look at Hisuian Goodra VSTAR that releases in our Lost Origin set this September. This is really a cool card and a cool archetype, and I think this might be my favorite deck coming out of this next set. When it's time to flex on your opponents in Top Cut this season, or even just upgrade your TCG accessories, make sure you're checking out inkgaming.com. They have a wide variety of custom playmats, custom dice bags, face masks, as well as mouse pads too, and a grip of sleeves and dice and deck boxes, all your TCG accessory needs. And you can use the code DADSPOD10 at checkout for 10% off your entire order from inkgaming.com. Your game, your style. Looking at this deck from a distance, you think, wow, Katana really just pulled out his Duraludon pieces and plugged in Hisuian Goodra, but there is just no better engine for this deck to thrive in than one that builds on having a high defense, heals a little bit here and there, and is accelerated with Arceus VSTAR because it does have a kind of funky attack cost. So we'll go ahead and dive into what Goodra brings to this list and how I think it can be applied. Hisuian Goodra V, 220 HP dragon type Pokemon, which means it has no weakness, has a 3 retreat cost and an attack called Toppling Goo for 60 damage, and you switch your opponent's active Pokemon with one of their bench. They do get to select which bench Pokemon that they feed you, however you still deal 60 damage to that previous active Pokemon. And for 1 water, 1 metal, and 1 colorless, it does shell rollout for 140 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, Hisuian Goodra V takes 30 less damage. And Hisuian Goodra VSTAR, 270 HP VSTAR Pokemon, for 1 water and 1 metal and 1 colorless, it does iron rollout for 200 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 80 less damage. 80 less damage. That is bonkers. That turns an opposing Trinity Nova into 120 or just 100 damage if they have double turbo energy on them, and that's pretty big considering that they would almost need to 3-shot this Hisuian Goodra VSTAR in some instances. And its VSTAR power, Moisture Star, is an ability that during your turn you may heal all damage from this Hisuian Goodra. So after you've taken about 2 or 3 hits and you're getting pretty close to that range where it might get knocked out, you have a contingency in play in the form of an ability that will just heal off all your damage, and you get to keep your energy. So it's not something like a Cheryl where it wastes your supporter for the turn. You just heal it all the way back to 0 damage on it, which is very, very powerful. Now, to accelerate the energy in, because we need to be attacking with Goodra each turn to take that 80 less damage chunk, it's going to be important to utilize something that gets the energy out fast. And I think that Arceus VSTAR really hits that need right on the nose. Being a 280 HP colorless Pokemon with its attack Trinity Nova for 3 colorless, it deals 200 damage as well. And you get to search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon V any way you like. So in most instances, you want to lead with Arceus VSTAR, which is why we're playing a higher count of that specific Pokemon. And you want to accelerate that energy back onto your Hisuian Goodra so that you can start attacking for 200 and taking 80 less damage as soon as possible. And its Starbirth ability just makes the deck wildly consistent, but remember, if you are using Starbirth, you are not able to use Goodra's healing ability. The new Radiant Gardevoir also has a tremendous amount of merit in an archetype like this where we want to take less damage, because its new Devotion Veil ability allows you to take 20 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon V's attacks. And in a perfect world, you've already utilized your Iron Rollout attack, and now you're taking 80 less damage, and you're adding an additional 20, making it 100 less damage per turn, which is substantial. And now we dive into our trainers. We're playing a 4 count of Marnie. We are playing a 3 count of Adventures Discovery, which is a great supporter that allows us to go into our deck, grab 3 Pokemon V, and then either put them in play or use them to discard with things like Ultra Ball and so on and so forth. We are playing a count of 3 Boss's Orders to be able to gust as we see fit. We are playing 2 Avery, which is a high count, but it's necessary for the format we're in and the format that we're moving into to shorten our opponent's bench, whilst also giving us the ability to draw cards. And we're playing a Raihan because accelerating energy from the discard pile and being able to go into your deck and grab a resource is key. We are playing a high count of 3 hyper potions to be able to heal 120 damage from one of our Pokemon that has at least 2 energy attached. If you healed any damage this way, you discard 2 energy from it. So you're attaching that double turbo energy to your Hisuian Goodra and being able to heal off any excess damage that you might have laying around after taking 100 less damage after an Iron Rollout plus Devotion Veil. We're playing a 3 count of Trekking Shoes to be able to dig into our resources like the Hyper Potions. We're playing a 3 count of Pokegear, so getting to our supporters each turn is very necessary and a lot more accessible with things like Pokegear. And a 2 count of Ultra Ball. You have a lot of Pokemon search in the form of Adventures Discovery, but the Ultra Ball will let you go find things like the Gardevoir, so I think it's got multi-purpose use in this deck. However, you don't really need to run a whole bunch of them. We're running 2 Switch, we're running 1 Escape Rope. Playing a 1 of Tool Scrapper, we don't hit very hard in this deck, but we need to cut the amount of damage that we're taking in, especially from Pokemon V, so being able to eliminate Choice Belts with something like this is very crucial. We're playing a 1 of Choice Belt to be able to inflict an extra couple damage here and there. We're also running 2 Big Charm to make our Hisuian Goodra just a little beefier, and potentially beef up our Arceus as well if it needs to take a couple hits. We're playing a high 4 count of Crystal Cave because we need access to all of our abilities, but we also want to be able to heal 30 damage off of our Steel and Dragon type Pokemon, more specifically the Hisuian Goodra, being able to take 100 less damage with Devotion Veil and Iron Rollout, plus healing an additional 30 damage the following turn is tremendous. We're playing 4 double turbo energy. We want to have it first turn, and then we want to use a couple later for the hyper potion play. We're playing 4 metal energy and 4 water energy, and that rounds out the rest of the deck. Ultimately, this is going to be a deck that's going to grind out a lot of games, and you have the ability to play it a little fast with things like Trekking Shoes, but ultimately that's just to get us to our resources to kind of stay in the game for long periods of time. I am very much so looking forward to playing the saddest of snails in the next format with Lost Origin, and I really think that this has the potential to be a very tough customer in the future. I hope you enjoyed my early deck preview of Hisuian Goodra VSTAR featuring Arceus and a whole lot of healing. If you enjoy my content, make sure you're liking the video, commenting which decks you want to see me do early deck previews below, and then subscribe to my channel and turn your notifications on so that you can be alerted when I upload new things like early deck previews or box openings through Ink Gaming and so on and so forth. And be sure to check out the Pokedad podcast and join our Patreon too. You chip in just a little bit of money here and there monthly, and we give you access to all of our content, early deck previews, interns research, meta calls, and so on and so forth, and a deeper discount from Ink Gaming. So be sure to check that out, and I'll catch you later. Deuces. Why are you so sad, Goodra? Like, legitimately, there is no need to be this sad when you're this good of a card.